My name is Karen Snook. And this is William. He is my buddy. I'm the executive director of Kindred Spirits Care Farm. I grew up in Northern California. Classic military father, big meat eater, definitely not born vegan. I always loved animals, like forever and forever. But it was actually a yoga class in high school where they came in, instead of teaching us postures and poses, they taught about world health and world hunger, the human intestinal system, and how eating meat was bad for us, and how, of course, the factory farming was horrible for animals. And it didn't matter to me that my parents weren't supportive. I was always a very independent person. And so I knew what I wanted to do, and I knew that I didn't want to eat animals anymore. I didn't want to eat my friends anymore, and so I was just like, it doesn't matter what they think. I'm doing what I'm doing. I didn't know what the word vegan meant, but I knew that I didn't want to do anything that ever harmed an animal. But way back then, we're talking the 1970s, there were no vegan baked goods, there were no vegan cheeses, there were no vegan mock meats, there was no vegan anything, and I had to try and live in my parents' house while, maintaining a lifestyle where I had to feed myself. I moved to LA when I was 18, got an education first. I got my Bachelor's of Science from UCLA, then I got an MBA from Pepperdine. Once I got out of the master's program, it was really just a corporate grind. First for a software company, and then for a banking company, a finance company. I didn't really know. I didn't really have much of a vision in those years of, a big vision of where I wanted to go or who I wanted to be or what I wanted to accomplish. I mean, I left the corporate world because at a certain point, I kind of said, there's got to be something more I can offer with my life than just making some rich person richer. Just couldn't take it anymore. When we came to this property, there was dirt, there was trees, and there was a house. There were no animals, there were no pens, there were no barns, there were no sheds. The pool was a regular swimming pool. It's now a pond for koi and turtles and some other little fishes. We've been working really hard to make this into, the best possible sanctuary for both animals and people. There's a lot of work that happens on a ranch, and we couldn't get it done without volunteers. I want them to come and meet these animals as individuals. I want them to come and realize, oh my goodness, a sheep is not just a wool machine or a leg of lamb or a whatever product people get from sheep. And when they come here and they experience that, I have to believe that at least plants a seed. We feed everybody a marvelous vegan lunch, and that's another way that we try to impress people with how cool, vegan food can be. I want them to come, fall in love with these beautiful animals, and want to do right by them because they now love them. We exist through volunteer help. I mean, there's a lot of work that happens on a ranch, and we couldn't get it done without volunteers. The vision, of course, is to reconnect everybody back to the reality that is plants, animals, air, earth, each other, and have them work together in harmony. All the animals here, number one, are rescues. Every single animal here has come from abuse, abandonment, or neglect. I think about Angel. Someone just threw a white goat out of a car in the intersection and drove away. She was incredibly thin, and she was sick in every way that an animal can be sick. Percy is what's called a bummer lamb. Sheep only have 2 nipples, so when they give birth to 3 babies, the runt of the litter doesn't do well. And so if you're a sheep farmer, you can either bottle feed the bummer lamb, or you can ignore them and basically let them die. So I got Percy and Penny and raised them from the time they were 3 days old. When I I'm feeling tired, or I feel like I want to quit, or I want to just like fall down and sleep for 3 days, they keep me going. I mean, it's like, okay, I don't have time for self-indulgence because I have animals to take care of, and they will suffer if I don't do it. So I got to get myself back up and keep going. And there's something about that rigor, I think, that helps me avoid, you know, just wallowing in misery when the bad things happen. I want to bring animals and people together for mutual benefit. And I know that gardens are also extremely healing to people. So I wanted to make sure that was part of the experience. And I learned about this thing called permaculture, gardening in a way that actually harnesses nature and natural forces to get the work done. I wanted what I offered to the world to be more sustainable and more complete and more natural. We are so disconnected and so fragmented. I mean, even with our own selves, we have fragments. We break ourselves into pieces. And through plants and through gardens and with animals, we want to try and help people put the pieces together again, to recognize their connection, to the earth and to these other creatures and the other beings that live here with us. And to recognize that there's beings, even the plants, everything has sentience of one sort or another. And if we can reconnect to that, I think that we'll be a much happier, saner species.